across to Abhishek. Abhishek, some very interesting mentions of the Pakistan Army in his speech. I'd like to get the big points that you took away from that speech, and then we'll get in our panelists.
I think Niranjan rant, Islam, dissing the army. Twice at least I could sense that he was directly alluding to army behind him losing this government, which almost is a done deal now, given the fact that his allies have deserted him. His special advisor in Balochistan left him just a couple of hours before this speech that he made. And then, of course, naming names to the entire opposition, which he has been doing for a while, in fact. So I think, and of course, Niranjan, our Pakistani guests would tell us when they join, where was the trump card? He was saying that all these days that on the big day of the rally, he would pull out a trump card, but there was none. So I think essentially Imran Khan's swan song, I don't think it would be sung for ages. Essentially giving a lekha jokha or an account of what he has done, but observers are already noting that if Pakistan under him is doing so well economically, then why it stands isolated on the global stage?
Now, a couple of points that he made. Let me introduce our panelists this evening. Colonel Shailendra Singh joining us live from Delhi, Patikrit Payne from Kolkata, Major General S.P. Sinha joining us live from Delhi, Munib Hamid, who's a journalist from Islamabad on the show this evening, Abdul Samad Yaqub of the PTI, Ayab Ahmad, political analyst, columnist from Islamabad. Let me start with Abdul Samad Yaqub. Abdul Samad, almost sounding very, very desperate, telling the people and appealing to the opposition and his own party, saying that everybody will be watching you if you vote against me tomorrow, almost as if he was trying to read out his report card, and there was very little to show on that report card. And he spoke about Riyasat-e-Madina, invoked religion. He's seeming very nervous, isn't it?
Well, first of all, there is no voting which is going to be held tomorrow. This is the procedure. Maybe it take one more week. But apart from that voting procedure, Imran Khan has gone to the public, presented his case, and if the government is, dismissed or the motion of no confidence successful, this is under the constitutional framework. We cannot stop or we cannot ask them to not vote against them. We cannot use or we cannot be violent with the members. And if the government is toppled, it won't be a big surprise, because the track record from last 20 years is the shelf life of a prime minister is not more than 3 to 4 years. And it will not be surprising for us. When the political and the corrupt mafia made
That's breaking news on the broadcast. That's breaking news on the broadcast. A PTI spokesperson on the show, Abdul Samad Yaqub, saying that if his government is toppled tomorrow, it won't be a surprise for them. And he says, I'm just repeating what he just said. He says that in Pakistan, no government has lasted 5 years. But I'm finding it extremely surprising that you're admitting it on Indian television that you won't be surprised if a government falls.
Going to be happened, that will be under the constitutional framework. The system will remain intact. The system is not going to be, there is no any fragility in the system. So what matters the most is the state matters the most, the system matters the most, and there could be an early election as well. These are the part of the, these are the norms over here. It won't be a big surprise, at least for me.
Well, that is breaking news. Let me get Shailendra Singh to respond to that.
No. Are you,
Abhishek, go ahead.
Abdul Samad Yaqub. No, are you suggesting, when you say the systems are in place, what you are suggesting is that the essential rulers, the main rulers of Pakistan remain the generals, and so they remain in place, does not matter which prime minister comes and goes. You are actually admitting that.
No, I'm not admitting that. If it is this is the case, then I can quote you the example where the two army chiefs were they were resigned on the request of on the order of the Prime Minister of Pakistan. There was a General Gul Hassan, who was the Chief of Army Staff. Bhutto sought his resignation and he was resigned, and then General Jahangir Karamat.
And what happened after that? And what happened after that? We know what happened to Bhutto. We know what happened to Nawaz Sharif when he wanted Hamid Gul. We know what happened to what has happened to Imran Khan now. We know what happened to Nawaz Sharif again when he tried to get an ISI chief of his choice.
Okay. For the sake of argument, I mean, you can compare Pakistan's political culture or dynamics with the India, because when after the partition, I mean, you are lucky that VP Menon, Wallam Patel Bhai, they were the most, I mean, seasoned politician who raised your system or who accessed your, I mean, your political culture is much more mature than our culture. We are getting mature now. We are, and whenever these dictators come, whenever there was a martial law, this was this was welcomed by the majority of the Pakistan people, and then these martial law was validated by the Supreme Court. So again, I can hope that at this moment that there will be no further martial law, or there will be no tolerance for any further dictator. I can promise you for that. At least we are mature enough now that whatever will be done, it will be done.
Oh, well, you are reading General Bajwa's mind. You are reading General Bajwa's mind better than Imran Khan, it seems.
Abhishek, before Abdul Samad Yaqub comes in, let's get a response from Colonel Shailendra Singh, and let's get an Indian panelist, and then I'll bring in Ayab Ahmed and Munib as well. Colonel Shailendra Singh, you just heard what the PTI spokesperson said. Says he won't be surprised if the government falls tomorrow. Can you get your first response also to what Imran Khan said in his speech?
Congratulations to our panelists from Pakistan. Democracy is here to arrive at Pakistan. If that is so, congratulations to you and congratulations to the Janta of Pakistan. But you definitely know it. Okay, where is the key to all this? The key still lies with army. Bhagwan kare, आपका देश, आपकी डेमोक्रेसी, आपकी बात मान जाए, and there is no more martial law, there is no more role of army. I can understand you having a brave face to say that, but actually on ground, you equally know it very responsibly that the Pakistan army is there to stay in the politics. They will have the final word in politics, and this is not said by me. It is said by your people only, that the army has said that we will be neutral. That means till now you were not neutral. That means everything was controlled by them. It is still controlled. And we are not into Pakistan bashing, by the way. We are evaluating a particular situation. And that situation is that whether Imran Khan is supposed to stay or not. Democratically, if Imran Khan has failed to bring in development, he has not been able to, come out on the economy front. महंगाई उसने बढ़ा दी. लोग किसे blame करेंगे? आप ही को करेंगे. You have not had a cordial relation with your own army, knowing fully well कि आप किससे पंगा ले रहे हैं. All this combined with your international relations going down, people are blaming Imran Khan that you have lost on US, which is very critical. You are trying to be with China, which is not being liked by the public. You are naming CPEC as a big project, but people are not liking it.
No, but Colonel Shailendra Singh, you're speaking about China, one interesting mention that he made, right? He said China practices all tenets or principles of Islam in the way that it governs or runs runs the country, right? Like how China functions. He didn't make a single mention of the Uyghur Muslims. We all noticed that, right? And let me get a Pakistani panelist, Munib. Why didn't he make a mention of that?
Well, thank you very much for having me here, Niranjan. And obviously the speech was very powerful, and we were expecting a few things from the speech, obviously, which did not come out. Of course, obviously the most important thing was the major play card. And I'm sure Imran Khan thought at the last moment that it is going to be impoverished if he is going to present those cards in the coming week. And I guess it was just a political speech, and mentioning China and what's happening in China with the Uyghurs was not something that the state endorses. And the state's view on this point is that there isn't anything happening in China's Uyghur province. So the state's response on that is pretty clear. And as, of course, I believe this is what the state's response has been. And Pakistan does not believe, and if even if there is such thing, China has denied it, and Pakistan always sent their missions there to confirm those things, but they found nothing happening in the Uyghur state. So this is why, of course, he did not mention about those things, because those things are already dealt with. China and Pakistan has been in serious communication with the Chinese about that thing, but it doesn't seem like to be a concern at the moment. Yeah.
Munib,
Abhishek.
Munib. No, I have a question. You know, while we are still searching for what was the trump card that Imran Khan was talking about all these days, I think what I found surprising or interesting rather was his mention of a threat letter that he has received. He almost indicated that this came from powers that be in Pakistan, and we know who powers that be mean by powers that be whom we mean in Pakistan. Was he suggesting that he got a threat letter from the Pakistani army to quit?
No, of course not. That is not, that's just speculations. And the Pakistan Armed Forces media wing has made this very clear that
he mentioned in his speech that he has received a threat letter and he's leaving it there.
He has mentioned that he has a letter in his hand, but he did not mention anywhere that he received that letter from the armed forces of Pakistan. I mean, this has been a case, even locally and internationally, people and institutes, countries have been trying to malign the armed forces. The armed forces have made this very clear. They have zero involvement in politics. We can leave alone what happened in the past. But at this moment, we can remove the statement of the DGI-SPR. He has said this plenty of times that we have zero involvement in the politics, and it is the right of the people of Pakistan to choose who they want to lead.
Okay, let me get in, you know, because we did a fact check on some of the mentions that he made. So let me get in Ayab Ahmed. Ayab, he also said, and Patikrit can respond to Ayab. He said, Indian Muslims wanted Riyasat-e-Madina. Why is he, I mean, what is he trying to say? Abhishek, very interesting mention there, controversial one.
1946 election. Yeah. 1946 election.
Indian Muslims are happy here. Right, Ayub?
No.
Ayab?
He mentioned that Indian Muslims. Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
He mentioned that if he mentioned that Indian Muslims wanted Riyasat-e-Madina, because looking at the current scenario, looking at your current government, looking at your current Prime Minister, Narendra Modi, whatever he is doing with the Muslims, so obviously...
Oh God, please, this is a debate about Imran Khan.
No,
this is a debate about Imran Khan.
You're getting it wrong. Ayab, Niranjan, I have to correct him there.
This is a debate about Imran Khan.
Niranjan,
Imran Khan may not be the Prime Minister tomorrow. Why are you so interested about
Niranjan, I have to correct him there.
Yeah, go ahead, Abhishek.
Ayab, you are getting it all wrong. Imran Khan was in fact saying that in 1945-46, when the general elections happened under the British, at that time Indian Muslims voted for Muslim League, and that's why he said they voted for Pakistan. Now he has said a cat among the pigeons. We'll discuss it sometime later, but I think later he said that India is doing better than Pakistan in on development parameters. Even Bangladesh might go ahead. In fact, Bangladesh is ahead of Pakistan in most of the development parameters. So I think he was panning. He was panning the people who are after his life in Pakistan by saying that Pakistan is actually lagging behind in all the development parameters. He was not saying that Indian Muslims as of today want Riyasat-e-Madina in Pakistan.
He has clearly mentioned in his speech that the development work Pakistan has been doing in the last 5 years in this regime, in the PTI government regime, it has not been done in the history before. And secondly, you are talking about the Trump card he didn't show. He has clearly showed that Trump card as well in his speech. I think you didn't hear the speech properly. In the speech, he clearly stated that the external powers do not want this government to be leading Pakistan. What are the external powers and who said...
Getting in some more breaking news now. Ayab, stay with me. I want Patikrit to respond, but I think there's a response coming in from the Pakistan opposition as well. Let me play out. Mariam Nawaz Sharif is responding to Imran Khan's speech. I'd like to play that out for a few seconds. We'll just play that out and come back and get Patikrit's response on that. Mariam is responding. Can we cut across to that, please?
खा खा कर मोटा हो गया है उस चूहे का नाम है इमरान खान पता है क्यों क्योंकि वो आपका आटा खा गया ये पाकिस्तान का बल्कि दुनिया का वाहिद चूहा है जो 22 करोड़ लोगों का आटा खा गया जो 22 करोड़ लोगों की चीनी खा गया जो 22 करोड़ लोगों का घी खा गया ये वो है जो 22 करोड़ लोगों की नौकरियां खा गया मेरे पाकिस्तानियों गुजरांवाला वालों और इल्जाम लगाते हो नवाज शरीफ पर चुल्लू भर पानी में डूब के मर जाओ नवाज शरीफ ने जिंदगी में बड़ा कुछ सहा जाली मुकदमे भी भुगते जाली कैदे भी काटी लेकिन पता है कि नवाज शरीफ को ये मुल्क के अवाम बार बार क्यों मुंतखब करके लाते हैं क्योंकि नवाज शरीफ पाकिस्तान का बेटा है अगर तुम सुनना चाहते हो कि एब्सोल्युटली नॉट कैसे कहते हैं ठहर जाओ गुजरांवाला वालों अगर तुम सुनना चाहते हो कि एब्सोल्युटली नॉट कैसे कहते हैं
Okay, a quick response that was coming in there. Let me get in a word from Patikrit Pain. Patikrit Pain, that name calling, she was calling him a rat because he's been calling them rats, Three Stooges, Cherry Blossom, thieves and God knows what. I mean, this is the worst kind of discourse. But the reality is there is inflation in Pakistan and it's unimaginable. Patikrit.
Let me tell you, Niranjan, today Imran Khan, and this has been a habit of most of the politicians of Pakistan, whenever they are in crisis, they will invoke Islam. They will try to project that they are crusader and trying to fight against corruption, and that's the reason they are being thrown out. But the reality is this, they have a double-digit inflation. Their total debt is almost at par with their GDP. Okay, their foreign exchange reserve is almost in the single digit. They are begging and borrowing from countries like Saudi Arabia and China to shore up their foreign exchange reserve. They are borrowing money from abroad at 7.2%, which is exorbitant. And they have a huge amount of money they have to pay back to China. They are on the verge of sovereign default if they don't get the next tranche of $6 billion from IMF and World Bank. They are in the Financial Action Task Force grey list because of which no investments are coming. So this is the reality of Pakistan. And Imran Khan, for all the halo that he created as of Naya Pakistan, that halo has been completely shattered. He was a chosen stooge of the deep state of Pakistan. Now he will be replaced. Today he is no more than a dispensable pawn. And let me tell you what's going to happen in Pakistan. The situation today, the Pakistan today is actually imploding from inside. So the situation today is such that the deep state or the army doesn't want to, soil its hands. So there will be a soft coup. There will be no military coup. There will be a soft coup in terms of either the government will be dismissed and some other caretaker or something will be coming up which will be more amenable to the deep state. But frankly speaking, whether it is Imran Khan or somebody else, all the grand lectures that Imran Khan gave, they have a huge problem of internal security today. They thought that if Taliban comes to power in Afghanistan, they will be the Chaudhry of South Asia and they will manage Afghanistan from Islamabad. It didn't happen. On the contrary, attacks by Tehrik-e-Taliban has increased. Baluchist insurgent groups are doing attacks on Chinese installations. That's why China is very upset. And so that's the reason he invoked China in his speech. So he is trying to do all the things in a manner so that he doesn't get into exile. He doesn't get punished. Let's understand this. But the fact remains that whoever comes in place of Imran Khan, the structural challenges of Pakistan today is so profound because they have never given importance to creating those institutional framework that India has. And those structural challenges have today reached to such level that whoever comes, it will be a crown of thorns. I think that Imran Khan is trying to play a victim card, but I don't think he will be very unhappy if he is asked to leave, because the situation today is such that there is no possibility of prices to come down. And that is the reality. So I don't think Imran Khan is beyond the... Yeah. Yes.
Pathikrit, I mean, it's a litany of charges and Imran Khan there playing victim card. I mean, I'll ask the PTI representative here, you know, why don't you simply accept that Imran Khan was the selected prime minister who has been dumped because he was trying to enforce his own choice of ISI chief and the Pakistani army has read the riot act?
Yes, I am failed to understand that why are you so much concerned about that, whether he was selected or whether he was elected. I mean, who are you to show your concern about our political dynamics? This is internal matter. We have 4 time inventions by army. This is the people of Pakistan, whether who accept or who tolerate the dictatorship or whether who prefer the democracy. I mean, I am still fail to understand that.
Abdul Samad,
sir, we are analyzing it because we want to know how to run a country.
It's an internal matter of Pakistan. We are not banning Pakistan for having this level of democracy there. But let me take this question. Let me take this question to General Sinha. General Sinha, you know, Abdul Samad says that this is an internal matter of Pakistan. But at the same time, because of the geopolitical reasons, any instability in Pakistan has consequences.
No, I was about... Sorry for interrupting. I was just saying that you mentioned the army and the PTI got so upset. Go ahead. You can take the question with General Sinha. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, if the army has dumped you, why are you upset now? I mean, the relationship is over. Imran Khan is already going. But my question to General Sinha is, that, okay, fine, this is an internal matter of Pakistan, but because of geopolitical reasons and the space that Pakistan occupies, any instability in Pakistan has consequences for the region. So what are the points on which India should be cautious about, General Sinha? And the fact that generals have really underscored their permanent salience for Pakistani politics by yet again dethroning a prime minister. I think we have to be a little more extra cautious in dealing with the next general then.
An unstable Pakistan is not good for Pakistan. It is not good for India. And that is the situation which is developing. Now, let me point out some basic issues. Pakistan army made Imran Khan as prime minister, wanted to get rid of Nawaz Sharif. In Panama Leak, there were 52 generals, nothing happened to them, and Nawaz Sharif was sacked. Manipulated, firstly. Secondly, Imran Khan suddenly realized that he wants to furrow an independent path. Pakistan army realized that he is becoming too big for his boots. Hamari billi hami se meow. That Imran Khan should have understood that the real power in Pakistan is Pakistan army chief and not Pakistan PM. He forgot this basic premise, basic principles. Now, secondly, you look at his body language in this speech. He's so nervous. Future tense is not going to work, and he's trying to look at the way he's trying to play Islamic card, religion card. Now he wants to get out. He knows he's going out, so he wants to get out in an honorable manner and by addressing the nation. Secondly, I would like to point out that the question you raised about the security. You see, when there is instability in Pakistan, terrorism will take an upward swing. You call TTP. You talk about TTP, you talk about Hafiz Saeed and others, they will all get very active. They will start, manipulating the new government. So I think unstable, if there is a proper democracy in Pakistan, it's good for Pakistan and it's good for India. That Pakistan does not understand. Look at the way Bangladesh, which became independent in 1971, the economy of Bangladesh is better than the economy of Pakistan. Why? Because they have got their priorities right. Pakistan does not have their priority right. The problem with Imran Khan was that when he started interfering in the decision-making process and started challenging the power of army chief, That is whether appointment of DG ISI or whether the appointment of would-be next chief, he wanted to play an important role. It was not acceptable to General Bajwa. Pakistan Army does not lump all this. They are power center. And one panelist from Pakistan was saying that Pakistan Army has zero involvement in politics. I'm amazed at this statement. How can you make such a funny statement? It lacks rationale. It lacks logic. That means you people don't read history. You are just talking in the air. You are just talking in the air. Who killed the first
Let me ask. Let's take this question to Munib Hamid. Munib, do you admit that there is an issue between the Pakistan Army and Imran Khan, and there's been a fallout because the Pakistan Prime Minister himself, we don't know how long he's going to be the Prime Minister, but he himself says that he's attacked the army. Once or twice, Abhishek mentioned the specific references when he mentioned the army, saying the army got Bhutto hanged via the judiciary. And then he spoke about the Musharraf episode again. And he's been talking about them, calling them names. Do you admit that there is a friction?
Also, Niranjan, Imran Khan really rubbed it into the generals. He said that of the 24 matches he played with India, 19 he won. The Pakistan Army has lost all the 4 wars.
Did he say Pakistan Army has lost all the 4 wars?
Can you give me 10 seconds, please?
That I'm at it.
Can you give me 10 seconds?
Yeah, Munib, go ahead. Okay, Munib, go ahead. Yeah, make your point. Okay.
All right, sir. So the gentleman here was talking about, the Prime Minister being selected. So if we just study about this political stunt statement which had come from Pakistan People's Party's leader, Chairman Bilawal Bhutto Zardari, and this was his trump card. And his entire politics is based on this statement that the Prime Minister was selected and not elected. And if, for example, if we consider that yes, the Pakistan Army has always been electing, or we could say selecting governments. So also his government falls into that trap as well. Even Nawaz Sharif falls into that same trap as well. So now just to be clear here, the Pakistan Army has made this statement and very, very clear, and they have made it many times that the Pakistan Army had involvements in politics. Of course, we cannot just eradicate the history, right? Pakistan Army had their involvements in political system. But right now, if we're speaking about the current situation, the Pakistan Army has no involvement, and they have made it clear that Pakistan Army stands behind the public, and they are supporting the public, whoever they elect. It's the public's choice.
Support the public, yes. That's the key word. They support the public, not Imran Khan. That's the key word. Let me get a word from PTI. Samad Yaqub, one second. Samad, I just want to get one last word to everyone. Samad, Abdul Samad. Now, if it happens tomorrow, if he loses the trust vote, right? You're prepared for all options?
Yeah, pardon. What was the question? If he lose the
trust vote,
confidence?
Do you think he will last? Okay, let me simplify it. Will he last the trust vote? Will he last it? Will he win it? Will he lose?
Okay. Now let me tell you the scenario. As the moment we will lose the trust vote, we will shift from treasury benches to opposition benches. Most likely, the opposition leader will be from the PTI, and then we will be effective opposition on the floor of the house and also on the street. So we are not going to give up. I mean, we will fight till last. Our struggle is not only just to stay in the.
Okay, a very long answer. Abdul, I asked you if you're ready. You said yes. We will move from opposition to. We'll move to the opposition benches. I got your point. You're ready for it. Okay. Colonel Shailendra Singh, quickly. I'll get one last word. Do you think he's going to last, Colonel Shailendra Singh?
I'll just say our PTI panelist guest who's here from Pakistan. He asked that it's their internal matter. Yes, sir. I respect that. It has to be our internal matter. We want Pakistan to grow democratically. We don't want it to fall prey to the army. We don't want you to get into the terrorism. We want justice to be done for those who have been declared international terrorists. That is why our concern is always Pakistan, because the more unstable you are, or rather let me put it more positively, the more stable you are, the better we feel, the good we feel that we have a neighbor who will do well for the country itself, the area, the region, and the world. Why will you be into terrorism-related financing?
Sir, let me get a word from Patikrit Pain, sir. Patikrit, you think he's going to last?
No, I don't think he's going to last, because if you see that, the manner of his speech, the tone of his speech, I think he has already lost. He knows that he has lost the mandate. He knows that he's going to be in minority. Even if the vote of confidence doesn't happen in the next few days, he'll be simply asked to leave. He'll be dismissed. He will be lucky if he's not sent into exile. Or because, nobody in the right state of mind opens a front against the army of Pakistan inside Pakistan. And he has tried to do that not once but twice. First by preventing...
You think he's going to last, sir?
Yeah, he's not going to last. Firstly, let me tell you, as a cricketer, Imran Khan should have understood that he's trying to bat on an unfavorable pitch. It is on the wrong pitch that he's trying to bat. Secondly, he's in his address, he said that he won World Cup.
I'll have to thank all my guests. Okay, let me get the last word from Ayab. Ayab, you think he's going to last tomorrow?
Let me complete.
Sir, I have to take a break. Okay, General Sinha. Okay, 15 seconds, sir. 15 seconds. Make your point, sir.
Let me complete, please.
Make your point. 15 seconds.
When his speech, he mentioned that he won the World Cup of Pakistan. Question here is the performance audit of his role as a Prime Minister, not as a cricketer. What is he talking about? It is performance audit of a Prime Minister of Pakistan and not of a cricketer. He's trying to backtrack the issue.
Ayab, last word.
I'm saying that he has already won it, because the crowd people have seen in the massive crowd in Islamabad, in the capital, it has not been done in the history before. He has already won it, and I think so that I've also seen it on the Indian media. Everyone is talking about Imran Khan is going. We can see it here that what is the problem and who is behind all of this.
Okay, thank you. No Pakistani Prime Minister has lasted 5 years. So let's see what happens tomorrow. I'd like to thank Colonel Shailendra Singh, Patikrit Pain, General Sinha, Munib Ahmed, Abdul Samad Yaqub, Ayab Ahmed. We'll meet again. Anam Sheikh, thank you very much. We'll meet again tomorrow. And Republic TV will be live. We have our reporters in Islamabad as well covering the story. Taking a short break, back with the breaking news updates from Ukraine. Stay tuned.